So the Estonian e-government ecosystem started to emerge since 2002, which is the date since when we have digital ID available for the entire population. And since then, the number of public e-services has rapidly grown from almost nothing in 2003 to about 1,800 by 2016. They are provided by about 1,000 mostly public institutions, and they're relying on almost 300 public data repositories. Now, public doesn't mean that they are open to public. Public means that they are registries like vital statistics registry, population registry, and so on. These are registries that contain information about the entire population on some specific statistical purposes. That as a whole has generated about, by 2016, about a system in which there are about 600 million interactions occurring on an annual basis, which amounts to about 1.6 million queries per day in a population of 1.3 million people. The current e-government ecosystem is based on the notion that we take a conventional public service and convert it into digital realm, which basically is nothing else, none more than taking a service and providing it online. In its own right, what you do with this step is you make things faster, you make them cheaper, more accessible, and so on. So all is good on that end. But one of the perhaps unintended outcomes of building the ecosystem of Estonian e-government was the fact that companies started, or institutions, public institutions, started to accumulate data as an outcome of their normal day-to-day activities that stand in different kind of silos, in different databases, and they are not used for various analytical purposes. So let's say, for example, the Estonian Tax and Customs Board collects data, detailed data about how each and every individual company in Estonia is performing in terms of their turnover and how much it pays taxes. From that information, you can make inferences about how the company is doing. But those data are isolated in one data set, and they are not used for any kind of analytical purposes. And that has opened up, and you see that virtually in every aspect of Estonian e-government, wherever you look. And that opens up opportunities on top of which you can start building what we call the second generation or the next generation of public e-services that use those data, and instead of simply converting the existing service into online realm, add value on top of those conventional services. And we call those predictive e-services. So adding value in those terms means that that value would not have been able we would not have been able to add that value in the conventional world without the existence of e-government. And a specific example can be predictive medicine, for example, where we attempt to use the data that patients and our healthcare sector aggregates, and we can start making sense of those data by issuing prediction scores about, for example, type 2 diabetes. So this is the example where I, as an individual, as a client of a healthcare system, can be informed and take action based on the information, the predictive kind of information that has been made about me by the government. And the basic idea here is that, for example, in Estonia, we have a little bit more than 166,000 corporate tax declarations provided by companies to the government on a monthly basis. And in these declarations, what we record is the information about their turnover, about the income and labor tax expenses, and some auxiliary data. And if you think about these data, when you aggregate them all up, you can start building very neat, real-time economy kind of surveying systems. For example, we have built an economic dashboard which looks at how the economy is doing, how the economy is composed at the aggregate level in real time. For example, here what you see is the composition of the sectorial composition of the economy. And the fancy thing is that you can build several KPIs, key performance indicators, on top of those characteristics. And what you can do, you can start monitoring those. Now, with technologies, you always have these what we call unintended consequences. Now, one of the unintended consequences of this dashboard is the fact that it's not only useful for the policymakers, people from the Ministry of Finance, people from the central bank, people from the Tax and Customs Board, but if you think about it, it in a way democratizes access to economic information. And if you think about it even more, this information basically belongs to the civic education classes. It belongs to the researchers, scientists, people who are deeply interested in how the economy is doing, how it is being composed, of which components, and so on and so forth. And if you think about a few interesting key performance indicators, I don't know whether too many Estonians know that 80% of the total turnover of our economy is being produced by less than 4,000 companies, and there are more than 100,000 companies altogether. So these are the examples in which you can open up the information that the government has and make it available for the public good so that you can increase or democratize access to information. And I think equity or equality in this term is really important. I mean, not only you can look in real time how the economy, how the turnover of the economy is performing, but you can also look at what you see here is basically the composition of the labor market, which tells you the number of people who are employed at any given time. You see the impact of the global economic crisis of 2008. You see how the average weight, how the average salary has been increased, but also you see the gender and age composition of the labor market at the entire economy and at specific sectors in which you are interested. And this is all dynamically available to you. You can select those sectors that you're interested in. Moreover, if you talk about equity, we speak about the difference in the gender pay or the gender pay gap. This information can be followed and monitored in real time using using the data coming from the Tax and Customs Board declarations without compromising anybody's interests directly. So Estonia is known as one of the widest gender pay gaps countries in the EU. And we have set policy objectives that we want to achieve. But we don't have any tangible measurement how we would monitor our progress. Using these kind of real-time dashboards, economic dashboards, you can go as deeply into specific KPIs as you're interested in. And I think achieving equality at a societal level is something that we can better achieve with digital solutions.